All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Eggs of Liquidity. Episode, I'm losing track again. I want to say 84.
84.
Ooh.
Impressive.
Yeah. 84, and we got a crossover episode today. Fun stuff with I'd say one of, if not the best DeFi podcasts out there. Maybe I'm a little biased, but I definitely think it's up there. We
Thank
got
you.
Chet and Dave from FLYWHEEL.
What's
GM,
good?
GM.
Happy to be here.
Happy
Thank you
to
for
have
having
you
us.
guys. Thanks for coming on. This is going to be a fun one. Excited to see some ideas clash and hopefully drop some alpha along the way. As usual, we want to get started by just getting to know everybody, see who we have with us today. Starting off with you, Dave, would love to get a little bit of background just about who you are, kind of what brought you into crypto, what brought you to FLYWHEEL as well.
Yeah. So everybody, DeFi Dave. I've been in crypto for 7 years. I started off at this website called Everpedia as a writer. I joined this website before it was even crypto. And like a year into it, in 2017, the guys who founded it woke up and were like, what if we were a blockchain encyclopedia? And like, that's how I got into crypto, like just like being a part. And like the people that founded this website were Sam Kazemian and a few others, and Travis Moore, who went on to found Frax. So I was just like, when I was getting into crypto, I was just kind of like around them and just absorbing information like a sponge. So I got quite lucky. And then in 2020 came along. Then DeFi started, and I really got inspired by it in the same way. Like when I discovered Bitcoin in 2017, same thing happened when I discovered DeFi. I'm like, oh, holy shit, this could really change everything. And then I kind of had like I've been all over the place. I've worked at Gelato for a bit. I was with Frax for a little bit, and from that I started FLYWHEEL. So been doing a little bit of everything, and now I'm at Dinero, of course. Doing Dinero things. So that's my long story short.
Cool. And similar to Dave, actually, I'm also class of 2017 coming into crypto. And except for Dave, I actually stuck with one firm. I was at a fund called Science, basically from 2017 up until 2022. So I was pretty much with one shop while Dave was hopping around. But interestingly, Science is located in Santa Monica, which is about like a 20-minute drive from UCLA, where Sam Kazemian and all those guys.
Hey, I was there for 4 years. What do you mean hopping around? I was at Everpedia
okay.
4 years.
That's true. That's fair.
Yeah.
And then after that,
jab.
I decided to take a step back from the fun and kind of caught the entrepreneurial bug. That's effectively when Dave hit me up, was like, "Hey, I got this thing called FLYWHEEL." Actually in the beginning, we were thinking of calling it Fraxcast because we needed to take the narrative back from, at that point in time, 2022 May, the worst thing you can be in crypto was these two words. It was algo and then stable. But that was exactly what Frax was. But then we're built different. And that asterisk, we're built different, comes with a 69-page documentation on why. So we figured we need to take back the narrative and really kind of educate people on why this is indeed different. And yeah, that's kind of how we kind of came together, and we'll be doing this for how long now, Dave? Almost
2 years. We haven't missed a week.
Yeah.
I think we were at like 115 episodes or something.
Yeah.
You guys aren't too far behind. Don't worry.
Yeah. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah.
Dave, what made you call Ket specifically to get this thing started? Like, what about him made it seem like that's a good podcast?
Kit actually hit me up in like March of April 2022. He was like, Dave, come on, let's like start this podcast. Because we were like already talking about like Convex and the whole Frax Convex ecosystem. And like, but the thing is with like anything in crypto, it's all about a timing thing. It just wasn't the right time. But post Luna crash, when it was just, everyone was just down so bad, then it became the right time. Then it was like, okay, like Frax doesn't have any marketing or any education. It's like quite complex. So like, all right, like there's an opportunity here to do something. Like, let's go podcast and experiment and see what we can do. And then I remember just make a bunch of random group chats. And one of them was like a podcast group chat. It was, me, Kit, and our producer, Sam. And then we just started making content, honestly. Like we were just like, okay, like one pod a week. I was like very, very militant about that. And then first it was like frac centric. Then I was like, all right, we got to be general. So we went general for the main pod. And like I obviously travel lots of conferences and stuff. And so I think the funniest thing, if you look back at all the episodes, you can see like all the different backgrounds I'm in. It's like every other week, it's a different background. And like some of them you can like, oh, he's in this place. Oh, he's like back home, or like, oh, he's over there. But yeah, we just like grew our content from there, and like Flywheel was like a great experiment, and we're pretty lucky to keep it going.
That's dope.
To give you a more bow-tied answer is that Dave is very much more like a word cell, and I am very much more like a shape rotator. And that's kind of where we kind of came in together, and he brings in the softer, philosophical, poli-sci elements and all the touchy-feely DAO stuff, as I like to call it. And then
touchy-feely DAO stuff. Okay, all right, I see how it is.
No, it's just super
I'm just kidding.
important.
I know. Yeah, I'm just shitting on you. Don't worry.
It's a nice juxtaposition against my more, harsher analytical side of things, and just I actually dive into the docs. I kind of look at the business models and all that kind of good stuff. So then I kind of come in and complement his softness with a little hardness. So it's nice.
Like,
wait, we're supposed to look at the docs of this stuff?
Yeah, I'm with you. Cedar.
Uninformed projects.
Yeah, no. Kid,
I think that's what Ollie does.
Yeah, Kid is definitely the finance guy with the numbers, all that stuff that people with numbers care about. And I'm definitely like more, like you said, the word cell. I'm more into like the humanities and all that stuff, and like asking more of like, I guess, the right brain questions, and he's more left brain. And that's why we complement each other well. And I don't think I could do my podcast without Kid. Honestly.
Likewise.
It wouldn't be the same.
That's
likewise.
You guys kind of just like literally describe us.
Yeah.
I'm more figured out like, are the logos right? Is the color looking good? Is there a good story? Ollie's like, does this thing actually work?
Yeah. It's very similar. And then same thing as you, Dave. If you watch like every other episode of Exit Liquidity, I have a different background. Like I'm always hopping around somewhere or other. It's and also like we started Exit Liquidity initially. A big part of it had to do with the Terra collapse. Like that's
oh,
where
you guys are also post Terra collapse.
Absolutely,
okay.
Yeah. It was a little bit further after, but that
Thank you,
was like very
Doquan.
much a part of the ethos.
Look at what you
spawned. Look, he did something good.
Instead of baby boomers, we're Terra boomers.
Terra boomers. Yeah.
Oh,
maybe some good came out of that after all. But no, that was why we ended up starting it. Or one of the reasons, at least, trying to help people avoid the same mistakes that we did that caused us to be Exit Liquidity so bad, so bad, so early, and so often. And that's always been mine and Cito's like one and biggest like Exit Liquidity story. And as I'm sure you guys know, that's also how we like to kick off this pod, by hearing what your most memorable moments were as being Exit Liquidity. So Kit, would love to start off with yours.
Yeah. So I gave some thought on this one. I initially came in with a story, but since that we brought Terra Luna, I'd also have that one to share as well. I was also kind of caught up in that piece, so I too were hurt alongside you. Obviously in Anchor as well as Mars, the lending protocol that was going to be on Terra Luna, right? Got caught in those two. But the story that I came prepared to share was actually about such a coincidence in timing, but it's about Arweave and AO, their new basically super layer computer. I'm sorry, there's a supercomputer layer on top of Arweave. And for me, when I like to consider myself, I am more technical than the next non-technical guy. And when I dove into the docs of AO, I was like, yo, this slaps. Like, this is extremely different. This is literally built differently. And I got to take a look at this and dive deeper. But this was frankly a little bit later. It was maybe like a month or so before the launch of AO. And at that moment in time, I decided to bet like half the farm on this thing, because I was like, oh my God, this is like, no one's talking about this. This is going to be a huge deal.
Did the chickens come to roast?
Oh, dude, the chicken came to roast, to reap, to every R word you can think of on me. And obviously after the AO network launch, like, you saw the AR price, and it taught me a valuable lesson that timing matters a lot, even when you have conviction, right? And I said this to my buddy. My buddy told me, he's like, bro, now is not the time to have conviction. Deep in the bear, when no one else has conviction, is when you have to have conviction. And I was like, damn, like that really resonated with me, because I really felt like this thing is really big. And I still am farming AO, so full disclosure there as well too. Like, I still believe in it, and I still think it's literally going to be the next way blockchain's architecture will be like. But I need to time my conviction better, and that was the lesson of that story.
Yeah, painful
that's a
lesson.
very good
Timing's a
lesson.
tough one.
Yeah.
Timing is a tough one.
Yeah.
We may or may not have a Arweave podcast coming out this week.
Literally, that's why it's so coincidental. But no, it's not just timing. Timing is the obvious part, but I felt that if I had conviction, timing irrelevant, right?
Mm.
But actually, no. Actually, there isn't. There is a time to be convicted. Yes.
Nice. This is a very well thought out exit liquidity story. I don't know if many people come to the table with that. It's a tough one to follow, Dave.
It's a lesson learned. All right.
Oh no, Dave.
I thought of this. Okay. I want to kind of set the context here. This is like my first cycle, 2017, 2018. And like the hot new kid on the block was EOS. I think everybody remembers EOS.
Yes.
And
lip
like,
balm.
EOS. EOS was the original Ethereum killer. It was like the original high throughput. I mean, low latency, every pitch of Alt 1 before, like EOS was like the first one of it. And so anyways, like where I worked at Everpedia, they were building on EOS. And so like I was like my first cycle where I see us building on EOS. I see like all this stuff happening. I don't know anything because I'm so fucking new. I shit you not, I was getting paid in ETH, and I would like convert all the ETH into EOS. That's not the most painful part. That's not even the most painful part.
Oh.
Yeah. And so the time comes when because they had the year-long ICO, and like it was on Ethereum, but they had to like go to EOS and stuff. And so my paranoid ass writes his seed phrase on paper, and he writes it wrong. I write it wrong.
Oh.
And like when I go to like put it in, it's like not working. I'm like, the fuck? What do you mean it's not working? And I got like a strong lessons about like double key cryptography right there. I spent like a year trying to like I wasn't the only one with this problem. So I spent like my year trying to get my like key back. And that whole time, EOS is just dumping to zero. Like I think its high was like 20, and then just like dumped to zero. And then like I finally got it like unlocked. And like by the time it got unlocked, it was like 90% down. And so there's like a few lessons learned there. A few like first cycle lessons about hype trains, few lessons about like key management right there. But that's my exit liquidity story. So a lot of pain.
Dang, that's a rough one. But these are all like the core. I feel like as you guys say these, you like people who've experienced them, and everyone I feel like has experienced each of those, like are just imagining themselves making those same mistakes back in the day. So it's like inevitable. And I think like sometimes you forget about those stories, because when I'm talking to new people who are like onboarding, the biggest thing I tell them to worry about is like phishing links, and kind of just like every link out there is like probably going to try and steal your shit. But you forget about like the basic stuff of figuring out conviction and timing, and then writing down the proper like private key and
should just had an encrypted file like a normal person. Like whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah. And speaking of like ETH killers, ETH hype trains, I feel like we're all sort of ETH boys here. And it's been a rough journey this cycle. And I'd say like part of the news these last few days was around this like 17%, 70 billion wiped in like 4 minutes on the ETH chart, and just I think Ali and I were staring at that on a call, watching that just nuke live. So that was pretty fun. What are you thinking about ETH? What are you thinking about kind of what happened there? Any thoughts, any insider info that you guys have on that?
Oh, my feelings towards ETH this cycle are just like, to give context over the past 7 years. It's like when I first got into crypto, it was like all Bitcoin. It was like the Bitcoin, the hard fork, like everything was still like Bitcoin centric. But then really like 2020, I think if I had to like describe Bitcoin is all about like scarcity. Like, oh, like I'm gonna get in the Citadel, 21 million, blah, blah, blah. Which is great. It has its like place. But I think Ethereum in 2020 really had a moment of inspiring builders that we haven't seen. And like I think that's kind of like the root and that all of us come from. We saw like the magic that happened on ETH with DeFi, NFTs, even DAOs, like all this stuff in 2020, 2021. It was all happening on ETH in one place. It was like, wow, this shit, like if Bitcoin's about digital scarcity, then like ETH is more about abundance and we can like create this world together. And so that was definitely a high point for ETH. The problem is though, like this cycle, it's like ETH has like a few problems, like a few things going against it. One, it's like the mind share and attention is split between all these different L2s that claim to be like ETH aligned. Yeah, I mean, you have like Optimism. I mean, Optimism, they're still ETH aligned, but they're like, oh, we're not an L2, we're a super chain. You have like, you know, what else? You had like Blast, they're not like L2 anymore. They're doing like Blast, whatever, like full stack chain. Who knows what the fuck they're doing? But like you basically have like the attention and mind share being just like stripped, like death by 1,000 cuts. The second thing is just like, it seems like ETH hasn't just like kept up with like the times of there's like a disconnect between, and there's always been a disconnect between like the ETH Foundation and like the builders. Like that's existed even before DeFi summer. But like it seems like that disconnect is even more so now. And now, like before, there wasn't competition. It was just like ETH. But now you have like Solana, you have like other things, you have like other like EVMs. So there's like actually competition, which is good because it like forces ETH to like get up off its ass to do stuff. Like I still have like faith in ETH. Like I think ETH, its power and value comes as like itself as an asset. Like the fact that things are denominated in ETH, like especially gas, is like for the most part, and all these L2s are still in ETH. What else? Like, you know, things being priced in ETH, like NFTs and like whatnot. I think that plays to ETH's strengths, and like ETH is still like the most decentralized, you know, world computer, quote unquote. So it has that going for it. But like, and I think it'll be fine long term. But like, I feel like ETH is going through what Bitcoin went through in 2020, 2021. Like, it's just like some like there's some like ossified like parties and like talking heads and like things are a bit stale. And as like Machiavelli said in the Discourses of Livy, like the body like corrupts over time. And so you just gotta like clean the body a bit. It just needs like a little bit of refresh. It needs like a little bit of like new life. Like I have faith in ETH, but like I'm not sure where it is. Like if I learned like one thing, like the one thing I've been doing, honestly, it took me 7 years to realize this, is like I'm just like DCAing into Bitcoin. I'm just like so fucking tired of like chasing shit. I'm just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm just gonna DCA into Bitcoin. That's it. I'll like play like what you know, I'll play like trends and shit here and there, but like I'm just gonna like DCA into Bitcoin and not touch it. That's what I'm doing. Not financial advice, of course. But yeah, that was the long rant.
Yeah. What was the question again? I'm just kidding. I did that to break the comic relief, but yeah, ETH is one of my biggest, you know, holdings as well. And it's just, I think we have this, for those who's been in multiple cycles, we have this almost like legacy mind where we just can't help but have ETH in the port. And that's why I'm so jealous of all these like new cyclers or folks who are very much more fluid in their mindset and mental, is that they can just switch to the meme train and just be like, hey, this is like, the meme is the meta and that is it. Sell all your ETH, stay in stables and just ape into memes when you're ready, you know, or you know, stay in Sol and ape into memes when you're ready. And like, I wish I had that mental, you know, elasticity for me to be able to just switch like that, but I just couldn't. ETH is home, ETH feels comfortable, and there's, you know, and you always should stretch beyond your comfortability levels. So that's, at least for me, on like a mental level, on like a trader S level, that's what kind of grounds me to ETH. Now, in a macro sense, I feel like Dave is kind of spot on about ETH's attention and love, and my share kind of got fragmented. The modular money thesis pretty much was like the death to the ultrasound money thesis, because if you think about it, initially before the L2s, or actually before Celestia kind of, or any DA layer, projects came out, L2s had to settle all of their transactions and post their transaction data as well as the proofs all onto Ethereum, which is really expensive, right? Because gas is expensive. But that is how you demonstrate ETH alignment, right? ETH alignment doesn't mean, hey, I'm going to use the EVM but never touch the ETH chain. Like, that is not ETH alignment to me. And on a podcast with a Spider Chain, which is a BTC L2 that is EVM, I asked, the founder directly, I was like, would you consider yourself, ETH aligned? Right. And she said no. And I think that's very truthful and honest, because like, if you just use the EVM and you don't really touch the Ethereum chain or quote pay your dues, then how are you ETH aligned? Right. You literally just took all the good things of ETH, like you took the EVM, all the toolings and everything that ETH had to kind of go through the growing pains for, and you're just using it without ever paying your dues to the base chain. So like, that's, I think Dave is spot on there, whereas like the modular of everything is kind of taken away from ETH as itself. Now, where it's going to go, I feel like, I mean, again, this is probably just lazy thinking on my end, but but it's zero. But I can guarantee you, all four of us still have ETH in our portfolio, right?
Yeah.
So then, like, why are we doing that, right? I'm trying to get to the root cause there, and maybe I'm just talking to the wrong people, because everyone has ETH and has this like kind of legacy minded. But I'd love to throw it back on you guys. Like, why are you still holding ETH if you think it's going to go to zero? Or I'm not to zero, but you know what I mean.
They're masochists like us.
Yeah, masochists. Like, why are you choosing pain?
I mean, when you frame it like that, it sounds like you're in like it sounds like we're in like a very toxic relationship, or like it's like a very
could be.
It's like PTSD driven.
Yeah, she beats me, but
action.
I like it.
And
I feel like there's valid there's valid reasons to hold ETH right now while also being like bearish on its price action long term. And I think that's part of the reason why it's like performed so poorly this cycle, because a lot of people, it feels like, have just had this like, I'll be in ETH until X happens, and then I'll rotate to this, or I'll be more risk on in that direction or in this direction. Like, I still think the best yield opportunities are on ETH or are denominated in ETH. If you're an airdrop farmer, I still think the best airdrop farming opportunities require you to hold or do something with ETH. Like, just with those two, you cover like Eigenlayer, Pendle, Symbiotic, as well as like some of the deeper LP stuff that you don't really have on Solana or any other chain. If you want to generate yield, you hold ETH basically. The issue there is that a lot of that is propped up artificially. I think Eigenlayer restaking is really gonna, like, it's not gonna be a race to zero, but it's gonna be a race down to, I don't know, some single digit %. Whereas right now it's some single digit plus whatever Eigen is worth, which it's like I don't remember what that meme was, but it's like, it could be anything, it's probably only like 5%, but it could be anything.
Can't remember what Sam said. We'll do a little preview. What Sam from Arweave said on our pod. It's like, why do you need like $10 billion or whatever restake to secure a like $10 transaction?
Yeah.
I don't know. So, like, I don't know.
It's, and I think like a lot of that activity is like medium term thinking, right? Because all these points programs are going to come to an end. ETH restaking yield is going to trend downwards in the long run, and like that thesis is gonna start to run out, I think. And that's where like you can say like, okay, right now, yeah, I want to be farming Symbiotic or whatever on 50 wallets. I want to be, I want to have this many yield tokens. I want to be holding this many principal tokens for like 20%, whatever. But in the long run, like that's going to run out. And then what's left? Like, do we flip back to the ultrasound money thesis? Do we flip back to like X, Y, and Z? Like, that's where I don't have an answer. I haven't thought far.
I don't know. It's like, I feel like this cycle, it's like, well, it's trying to be like ultrasound money, but BTC is like digital gold. It's like, it's not exactly BTC as money. It's not actually so in execution. And like, that's how people are framing it, that it's in the middle. It needs to like, I feel like ETH just needs to go like back to its roots somehow. Like, it can go back to its roots of like, encouraging builders to build cool novel shit that people want to use, then the rest will work itself out. Like I think in 2019, when it was the depths of that bear, like none of us could have imagined DeFi. It was like there was no such thing as on-chain. There was no liquidity in the centralized order books. Like the only thing that was happening is like liquidity money and mining on centralized exchanges, and that was all wash trading. That was the only thing that was happening. And then DeFi came along and surprised a lot of people. So for ETH to like, you know, kind of reclaim its place on like carving its own path without being a mid curve, it needs to like come up with novel shit again.
Yeah, I think that's happening to some like obviously not as much as we would like to. And in the bull, it's always kind of tough to filter out that stuff. But I'd like to think there is still cool shit going on.
Yeah.
You said something earlier, Dave, when you were responding to this. You mentioned like oh, ETH has competitors now. Like there's Solana, there's whatever other alt L1. It like how long is that list after Solana realistically? Like is there really any viable?
No, not yet. Not right now. It's just Solana.
Yeah.
Ayo.
Do you?
Not yet. all right, Mr. AO bags.
Timing.
All right.
Do you guys think that like would ETH sentiment be as bad as it is right now without Solana? Like is Solana kind of like is it the ETH killer we thought it would be?
I don't like. I wouldn't. I mean, it's. I wouldn't say it's killing ETH, and I don't like frame. I know. I said like they're competitors, but like, I don't think like any of these things are gonna go to zero. Like, I don't think like there's no way ETH's going anywhere. But I think Solana is like making people reevaluate. Like, oh shit, like we need to like actually focus on like things that users want, like UX and this and that. And honestly, I was like thinking about this, like how I'm thinking about like blockchains now. Like people are like, oh, blockchains are countries. I'm like thinking like, no, like let's like think of blockchains, like different blockchains as websites. They're basically different websites, and all the apps are like the different features on the website. You're basically like going to like the different websites to do shit. And so like what I think like in like the next iteration of crypto, and I think like Kane with Infinex is really executing on this well, is like thinking about consumer UX, and like you don't even think about the servers that your websites are on. You just go to the fucking website. And so like that will probably be like the novel cool shit I'm talking about will probably be on that level. And then each just has to be like friendly to that stuff. I mean, what ETH has to its advantage is that it's, you know, it's decentralized. It has most of the liquidity and capital. It's been around the longest. So that's what it has to its advantage. It just needs to get like a bit more performant and like be an attractive destinations for these, like what I call like the future, you know, web browsers. Like what's going to be like the Chrome. It's not going to be fucking MetaMask. It's going to be something else. I don't know what it is. It's going to be something else. But yeah.
Yeah, so let me jump in here, and to answer your question, Ali, I think if Sol weren't here, we would still feel salty because of the ETH ratios. It's particularly ETH BTC, right? I feel like regardless, since the beginning of time, that ratio has been there. And if you just kind of look at it, you just see it as like the saddest thing, right? Regardless of Solana being there or not, like you still see that. I feel because of that, we're always going to have a comparison point between ETH and something else, right? Rather than ETH against ETH. Now, one thing Dave said that I kind of came to the realization is like in 2017, there was a chance of existential threat. Like all of this could go to zero. In the bear of 2021, it proved that, hey, now ETH or just BTC has a non-zero price. Right? At the very least, ETH and BTC have a non-zero price, and that it will survive. So that for me is like almost this lizard brain in the back of my head. It's like, hold ETH, you know that shit's not going to zero. Everything else could. So that's effectively, you know, an element to it of why like I'm still holding ETH, and it's such a large portion of it. But yeah, that's kind of the way I would frame it.
Feels like a pretty low bar, doesn't it?
It is the lowest bar. It is the lowest bar. Yeah.
I don't know.
How about you guys? What is your guys' high bar for ETH? What does success look like for ETH?
See, I love how you get to podcast mode, Kit. Like,
it's
funny. It's so funny, like being on the other side of the sea. Like, oh wow, this is what it feels like to be interviewed.
We take turns passing the mic. It's good. I don't know. I think I spend more time on Solana and in Solana communities than the self-proclaimed ETH maxi. I kind of got
I'll
into
leave
that
buying
ecosystem.
Soul at $8 while I just watch.
I tried to get close, but I don't know if I got that exactly. But I was in Solana like from before all of the Alameda stuff, and then like as well as for the downfall of it. And being around like through that as well as like most of early 2023 when things were boring and everybody thought it was going to go to zero, and like it was pretty clear to see that things weren't like going anywhere, like that there was still a lot of really productive activity and just honest good builders there.
Yeah.
But like
Shout out
what
Cindy
it is
Drift.
today, yeah, Drift, great team. But like what it is today compared to like where we were a year ago or like a year and a half ago, like I never could have dreamed that it would have come to be as big as it is now. Like it's like seriously starting to give ETH a run for its money, and
Yeah.
lots of very key metrics. And like you can go and say like, yeah, it's all meme coin trading, but I mean, you can boil down any action to like acting with financial incentive, and like it's all the same, really.
I have a question for you. So like, what? I guess I remember in like 2020, 2021, everybody was like talking about like the flippening, like, oh, ETH's gonna flip in BTC. Like, do you feel like the Sol ETH flippening is like more possible? And I hate saying that word because I know like I'm not saying it now because everything's down, but whenever like Sol does a run up and someone says flippening, it automatically goes down. But like
always the top.
But like now in this, like, do you feel like it's like more like do you feel like it's more likely now that there could be a flipping or like close, like running to its money for that to happen? Because I think we all agree nothing's like going to be the killer, but like do you think it's like a real possibility?
So ETH all-time high.
Yeah, I mean, I see like the DJ news account, like as soon as even like a penny or like just like an incremental all-time high, they're just like so quick with saying new
Dude,
Sol
that account is
all-time high.
straight misinformation.
It's
Fuck
like,
that
and then
account.
every single large ETH liquidation, they're just like posting. It's fucking hilarious. But I think the same way. I feel like even when the like we went to proof of stake in ETH world, there was the whole like flippening narrative starting to come back, and like I feel like in my mind, even though I was very uneducated back then, there was like there were all these metrics I had in my mind on like how much ETH was being used, how much better it was as like a general system, and like all these boxes checked off in my mind and what seemed like everyone else's minds, and then it just didn't happen. And then like we just got fucking like nuked in terms of ETH BTC. I want to say, I mean, for my own bags, but like, I mean, I have Sol, but like, in terms of the flippening of ETH and Sol, I think the same thing will happen. It's just there's like you'd think every single checkbox is like checked in terms of marks to kind of have Sol be more valuable than ETH, and then it just won't happen.
Yeah,
I have no fucking idea why, but it's just
So
that's what I think.
like, I love that my question was about what does the success looks like for ETH, and then we just start talking about Sol.
We just start talking about Sol.
And okay, that tells me all I need to know.
No,
Well, no,
I
I think
I kind of subscribe to some of the like TradFi adoption,
the
and
tokenization on chain,
Yeah.
tokenization on chain, ETF flows, interest rate of the information age, all that stuff makes sense to me. But like
And-
you know, right now we're also trading like we're trading meme coins and have like all this other stuff, all of these like real hard like solid metrics on Solana.
But yeah, let's take like a step back for a sec. It's like, okay, like right now in the moment, it's like meme coins and shit. Okay, great. But like let's take a step back. Like let's look at like a little long term, guys. It's like look at a little bit long term with DeFi. Ali, we mentioned earlier about like DeFi on ETH. It's just like a lot more mature and like works better. It's just cleaner. Like I think there's like something there. I feel like take a step back with like ETH. It's like DeFi itself is like in its like weird middle, it's like growing pain state where it's not as like novel as like meme coins and shit on Solana, but it's not exactly like TradFi yet. It's getting there. It's growing and it's getting there. And like I have no doubt in my mind that DeFi will be like underlie all of global finance. It's just a matter of like how we get there. And so I like, and it's interesting to see like things I don't mean to plug like where I work with Dinero, like shit like what we did. You had Sammy on like last week or 2 weeks ago with the Bloomberg news of the income fund of the income thing of IPXE. That's huge. Like basically creating rails for TradFi, like on like that they understand that they can comply to like get on board with DeFi. Doing more stuff like that is like how we win in DeFi, and that's how like more TVL grows on chain. Like DeFi is like, what is it? Like not even 100 billion, maybe it is. Like I think like I'll make this statement. I think DeFi is in what Bitcoin was in like 2013, 2014. I think it could like really if you like think about it on that scale and like how big it can get into like the trillions and like what's global finance, tens of trillions. Like then we're like really early to that. It's just like so hard to see because everything's so fucking cucked right now. Like DeFi's just been down. You know what's been worse than ETH?
Yeah.
It's DeFi. DeFi has just been like bleeding. Like there's been no bull market for DeFi. It's just been like red. But if you take like a step back and like once regulations get cleared up and like we get like defined like, okay, this is what we can do and not do, or like this is what you can do and not do. And then like these like actual like people with money go and play with DeFi and go on chain, then it's game over. Then like wag me. I say it, wag me.
Does just to play devil's advocate there?
Yes, please.
I think some of the
I was about to do it. Thank you, Cito.
I think some of the like sentiment you hear from like the Solana people when it comes to institutions getting involved with like maybe ETFs. I hear it less about kind of DeFi on Solana, but just institutions being involved in that ecosystem at all. It's like I feel like in their minds, once the ETF for ETH is greenlit, regulations for ETH world stuff is greenlit, there's no reason for Solana like world to get greenlit, and then it's just a game of like almost like UX. I think that's maybe the argument on the other side for like part of that. I tend to believe the case for ETH having more institutional adoption makes a lot more sense. I think like it was solidified. I saw like, I mean, there's still a chance for these like L2s that are specific for institutions to maybe work out. But I don't think that's going to be like a winning kind of thing. I think they're actually just going to do stuff on ETH. But like, what do you think about kind of just the like if it's like a 6 month time window between like these kind of approvals happening for the ETH ecosystem and Solana happening, and then them happening for the Solana ecosystem? Do you think that's like enough of a lead for ETH, or do you think?
Oh, you mean like for like a SOL ETF or
SOL ETF, or like kind of clarity and insight onto how institutions could do stuff on chain on SOL? I mean, like
didn't the SEC just like take back? I could be wrong, but didn't the SEC just take back saying like, oh yeah, they did, like saying like SOL like isn't a security? Okay, so that's good. That's a step in the right direction. I don't know. I guess like it's hard to say because that world just moves so much slower. And even with the ETH ETF, even with the Bitcoin ETF, like I don't expect the inflows to come in for like months, if not years, like the proper inflows and stuff. Maybe, probably not till like 2025 for the Bitcoin ETF. ETH, like who knows? So like it's hard to say with SOL. I think like I feel like it's on such a long time scale that 6 months is enough time to like give it an answer.
Yep.
Let me ask the panel here then. Let's go with this.
He has to be an
tokenization. No, I have to because I got all the brains here, right? What am I gonna sit back and not tap the brains? So let's think about this. Let's take this all the way through. It's like, okay, tokenization is here. Fink is the man. He is the ultimate person to bring, ETH on chain, and ETH, DeFi, everything is regulated. You're gonna get a 1099B from your local DeFi protocol, and you're gonna have to submit that to get your taxes. Like, everything is figured out, right? How does that translate into ETH price going up, right? Like one way, let me just kick off the conversation here, is ETH becomes so productized, it just weaved into every single product, just like how, you know, Apple is, or just like how, you know, the S&P 500 as like an ETF, as an index, is incorporated across all of TradFi. Like I could see that kind of playing out, right? ETH becoming a staple part of everybody's portfolio, and everyone just buys into ETH and just kind of holds it. Okay, I could buy that. But now how about like all these other tokenization bit? Like, do you think the amount of gas that's going to be generated is going to really cause, you know, ETH price to go up? Or, you know, where does that price appreciation comes from?
Yeah,
Don't all
I
just
think
jump in.
no. I'll take a stab. It's a good question. It's a difficult question. I guess like the clearest and like most ideal answer is that if we have meaningful economic activity on chain, it will come back to ETH, either in the form of burning, of whatever L2 we're on, paying sequencer fees that end up translating into like not crazy. I mean, the gas debate on mainnet is like a challenging one, but like there is some equilibrium that we should be able to approach that would be a net positive, like enough to make ETH in demand, but not like so much that we're just deflating supply like crazy. We've had the former kind of in the past couple months with like, I mean, before this big crash, Gwei was single digits for what, like
Lovely.
multiple
Yeah.
months in like a bull
Low
market.
gas, it's finally been achieved.
It's like, and it's crazy how the narrative is like, it's like
No
nobody's
one's using the chain.
ETH. No one's
Yeah.
using the chain. Gas is low. Nobody wants to fucking use the chain. It's a ghost
Yeah.
chain. And then when everybody's actually using it, gas is too high. Like this is unusable. It's
Never
like
win.
we can't win, man.
Yeah.
But no, I'd like to think that we reach a point of equilibrium. Like eventually we come to a point where L2s are interoperable enough and are, I guess, I don't like the term ETH aligned because I feel like it's not quantitative enough.
I hate that.
Like,
I hate any aligned term.
yeah.
You know what it reminds me
Like,
of? I said this. It reminds me of like in EOS back in the day. They had these like block producers, and other block producers promised that they wouldn't bribe because they're all EOS aligned. Like, oh, we promise we won't bribe. We won't bribe. Went live literally a week later. Everyone's like bribing for the top 21 spots. Like alignment and dogma like this doesn't work. Like you need to have it like enforced by like the code.
To me, what it reminds me of is like when you work for like a company with like hundreds of thousands or like millions of employees, and like they tell you your family, as if like the system like cares about you. Like it's like that's not what like I think Ethereum is one of the greatest things ever like created, but I'm not gonna sit here and like build something that is like spiritually like I'm talking stuff that like meaningfully brings value back to the chain or to the asset. That is like, I'd like to think we converge on that with when we have actual tokenization that matters. Like your employer like pays you by giving you an NFT, which they can burn at any time in the form of firing you. And that gives you your set, it like airdrops your salary every month, which you can take out future loans against your like next 24, whatever, you know, all the like crazy shit that people like to talk about. Yeah. Points for salary. Whatever it might be.
Payday loans on chain.
Yeah.
It's like company money. Oh, you're getting paid in company bills. Getting paid in points.
I do think that not all of like, I do think that the future is multi-chain. Like, I don't think that there's going to be one base layer. Like ETH obviously has a great institutional tokenization narrative, but I don't, and I know like everybody hates, I mean, I personally hate talking about meme coining these days, but whether we like it or not, I think it's here to stay. And I don't think that continues to happen on ETH. And I think like, I don't think that we're going to be using the word meme coining or shit coining or whatever forever. I think that Solana or some performant chain, it's hard to say whether like the move chains are going to play a role in that at some point. If so, I don't think it's going to be until next cycle. But I think that type of like super performant, like almost like Zoomer chain is like the perfect place for, it's the perfect place for like all of the, it's like, you know, it's like the TikTok of blockchains. It's like it's where all of like the nonsensical, super degenerative, like, you know, people are gonna use Solana. 12-year-olds are going to use Solana when they go to like buy an ice cream from the ice cream truck, and they need to microfinance it because they didn't get enough, like they didn't get enough
allowance.
yeah, they didn't get enough allowance from their parents, so they'll microfinance the next 24 months
One
to
soul
buy
challenge.
this like single ice cream cone. Like I legitimately, okay, obviously not that extreme, but I legitimately think that like intense, like rampant microfinancialization is going to be a thing in the future, and I think that that's going to happen on a very performant blockchain. And I have proof too, because if you go anywhere in Colombia, Paraguay, or like some places in Brazil as well, you can pay for $20 worth of groceries, and the first thing they ask you is how many quotes do you want to finance it across. And you can do like 6 to 12 quotes for buying like a fucking frozen pizza, dude. And like obviously these countries are a lot more affected by inflation than we are, but like
Well,
I mean,
hey,
we all know how like the story ends.
in Brazil they
Quotes
have
mean installments. Just so,
What's that?
what does quotes mean? Is that like installment pay?
It's installments.
Or-
Installments. Yeah,
Got it.
yeah. Yeah. So you over X amount of months,
Understood.
and you pay some absurd level of interest on it.
I didn't realize that. So like $20 groceries turn to $40 groceries.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
I know in Brazil they have Pix, and like you can literally use USDT on Tron on Brazil Pix without internet connection. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Damn.
Brazil actually has like quite the advanced like central bank. Like they're really at the cutting edge of all that stuff. I believe they like cryptographically sign their mints.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know about any of that actually. I'm gonna make
Yeah.
it out there sometime. But that's just like one example of like some use case specific thing that I think won't exist on ETH, in the same way that I don't think trading memes, trading culture, like probably even like predictions markets, maybe even like perp dexes and like other types of high frequency trading avenues. I don't think that necessarily needs to happen on ETH. I don't think that that's the best place for it to happen either.
Yeah.
Cito is I think Cito's a little bit ethed out.
Yeah. Cito,
He's had a.
what do you want to talk about?
It's a tough reminder of the
it's
bags.
been
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's
it's
switch
been a tough
topics. Let's
week
switch
for you.
topics.
Is that
Near the last quarter here.
I'd be curious if you guys used the ETH chain or any of its L2s. Do you use them consistently? What do you do on these chains? What do you maybe theoretically do in other countries if need be?
Honestly, I like playing around with novel applications and dApps. Like that's what I'm like hungry and looking for. I can only like use like the same forks, but insert here so many times. Like when FriendTech came out, yeah, you can give it shit now, but when it came out, it was like something novel and like cool. And I'll try that out. Like and that was cool, even though like yeah, we saw how it ended up. That's why it's all experiments. Another one I liked was like Baseline on Blast. I thought like what they were like trying to do was really cool. I actually ended up like having them on the pod, and just like rethinking like the beginnings of liquidity for like tokens and their token launches and everything. They're trying to crack a hard problem, and I'm like, oh, like I'll like go try this out. That and like honestly, I'm kind of like, you don't have to like try everything. You just have to like try the things that like I kind of just get like intuition on things, and I haven't really gotten around too much this cycle. Like, but yeah, meme coins here and there. But I'm honestly just like waiting for Barachain to come out, and like I'm biased obviously because I love those guys, but like I feel like all the DeFi mindshare, or like most of it at least, has just like moved over to Barachain. And like I've been to their events and I like see like the projects that are cooking on there. It's like they're really cultivating like a very deep, novel DeFi ecosystem. And so I'm like excited for Barachain to come out. I think that's when I'll like, kind of like be out of my DCA mode and like try some new things. But I just search for novelty and that's it.
I think I probably have the most utilitarian use case here. I use Base and Arbitrum to pay for my rent and my like cost of living. So
Yeah.
every every week, every 2 weeks, I shoot a guy a text. I tell him how much I want. I send that money to his address in either Arbitrum or Base, USDT, USDC, whatever. Really, he's a flexible guy, nice guy, a little bit suspicious, but nice guy. And then he pulls up with about 2 of these stacks. This is about $150.
No.
Yeah, this is.
That's
Damn.
$150.
Well, okay. One of these is like probably like 70 cents, 60, 70 cents. So I mean, like,
How much are
Yeah.
groceries? Just
groceries
for
are not that
context.
expensive. I mean,
Okay.
like I eat out a lot, but like I'll get like fruit, like I don't know, 2-3 times a
Makes
week. It
sense.
runs me like, I don't know, $5-6 for a couple pounds of fruit. It's not a lot. It's not a lot of like it's a low cost of living, definitely. But like
Use cases.
I wish I
Use
could pay my
case,
rent
yeah.
and die. I get paid and die. I want to pay
it's
my rent and
nice.
die.
It's very nice, honestly. Is it like
I actually
the
paid mine.
breakthrough crypto use case I hope for? Not really, because I'm pretty sure I'm just sending it to a Binance address. So like, like who's really winning here?
Yeah.
But it's utility, I like to
Mhm.
think it's like a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I paid my sublet recently using USDC on Sol though.
Oh, I've done that. I paid sublets with like USDC on ETH.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, for me, I kind of bucket it into like 3 things. Like, one, farming. Obviously, you got to put your capital to work, and second is whenever
Airdrop
Dave brings
farming
on
or yield farming?
yield
Both?
farming. I the airdrop industrialized farm. I just don't want to play those games, right? I just want to know what I'm going to get, and I'm happy to sign up for that. Full stop. A second thing is, since Dave finds projects like so early on in their life, like usually it's in testnet mode or just like they had just launched, like that's my motivation to go and use the product before kind of having them on the pod, and so that we can talk about it intelligently. So that's like my way of being still in the trenches per se.
I feel
And
like
then-
we've. Go. Sorry, I cut you off.
And the third point is just actually using it for, say, like, big purchases. So, for me, I'm a huge watch guy, and I recently became a father. So I was like, hey,
Yeah.
I got to get a birth watch. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, brother. Thank you. So I got to get a birth watch. I was like, so I started shopping around, and then, one thing led to another, and then I decided to make the purchase. And obviously I had to use stable coins for that. And surprisingly, stable coins on Tron, USDT on TRC is the way. And actually, surprisingly enough, I am also really good friends with my watch dealers, and they're huge in the space. And everybody there no longer uses Swifts. Everybody just use Tron USDT. Like, believe it or not, like stablecoin activity happens on Tron. Like, if you want to see actual utility usage of the stablecoin itself, it happens on Tron. And Ali, like your sus but nice guy, these watch dealers, they have a side business, and all they do is like taking USDT, charge like 1 or 1.5%, and then swap it into cash for you, right? And that's their business. Or if you have cash and you want to go into USDT, they take 1.5% coming in the other way. So it's like it's crazy. It's crazy the amount of quote utility that is happening that no one talks about.
Lucrative business. Yeah,
Super.
for sure.
It's a killer
Watch-
use case. It's stable.
The watch
coins.
dealer and crypto person overlap is always so surprising. I always
really?
hear about watch dealers that are into crypto.
I feel like
But
it makes
yeah.
sense.
Yeah,
I think they're into it because their clientele's into it, so they just naturally get like.
I think it's
hooked,
just
and
like a really
obviously they see
autistic
headlines.
thing to be into is watches because it's like really mechanical and shit, and that's why like
Yeah.
crypto people like them.
yeah, that's actually funny. Ollie loves. I think Ollie's a big
Yeah,
watch guy too.
I was gonna ask you, what kind of watch did you get?
Yeah.
I really took a lot of time to think about this one, but I'll tell you offline. It's pretty personal, so
Cool.
I'll send
We'll
you
make
the
a
whole
separate
story.
we'll make a separate watch podcast, and we'll start there.
yeah. Watch liquidity.
Yeah, okay, I was gonna say the amount of guests we've had on, or like there's been quite a few where it's like I'd like find them early and then they go like do very well and they just blow up. Like
Yeah,
I remember like earlier it was like F of X, they were like $15 and then they went up to like
Yeah.
$100. I think like probably my most notable one recently was Pump.Fun. It was the first one to interview Alon back in like March or April. when like God knows what was on pump.fun, and now like there's Bloomberg articles about it and shit. So it's just like, I don't know. I enjoy being in the trenches. I like, some people try to like, oh, I'm gonna make it out the trenches. Like, no, I have my tent here in the trenches. I'm fucking staying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Shout out
for
to
real.
Milan. That guy's a hustler, man. Shout out to that
Yeah.
guy.
Dude, it's made a good fucking product.
He sent I think he sent I was in DMs with him around then. At that time I think he was doing
Dude,
something
yeah, he
before
was DMing
Pump.Fun.
everybody. He was DMing
everyone.
everybody, like
Awesome.
literally.
Yeah.
And like, think about all the people
You'd
that
love to see
faded.
that.
Yeah, and like
You can
now
DM
it's like,
me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he didn't DM me either.
I
Yeah,
want to be
DM'd him.
included.
Yeah, shout out to him.
So good.
Okay. Yeah, and then in terms of like the last transaction that you guys have made, the last app you've interacted with, what chain, what app? Maybe it was today, maybe it was yesterday.
It was 2 days ago. Main chain, AO Farm.
AO Farm.
Because everybody was leaving because of the price action, and I was like, oh, now's my time to like increase my stake, so I can capture more. Yeah, that was literally 2 days ago.
I'll start with I think we can filter out meme coin buys. I don't think that's. I mean, if I filter out meme coin buys, is there anything else I'm doing?
Like, I don't want to see the meme coins I bought.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
You don't want to incriminate yourself.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean a perp stacks, Hyperliquid, maybe, in another country.
Okay.
First.
Testnet Hyperliquid, right? Yeah, I got you.
Testnet, yeah.
Yeah.
I've used, now that I think about it, I've used a lot of shit in the past week. I've used Polymarket.
Well, yeah.
I've messed around with LPing on Meteora on Solana. Did like a couple airdrop claims on there. Pendle, Symbiotic, and then just like some, dexes, spot dexes on ETH as well. Just buying the dip. Hyperliquid as well. It's like the only perp dex I use. Only perp dex anyone uses at this point, really.
Yeah. Damn.
I'm still pretty active on chain. I don't know.
Yeah. Other than BonkBot, I'm trying to think. I've honestly just been like, I gotta think. I was like, what did I last do? I bought some CRV on like the dip. That's
why?
Because I like pain.
I like questioning your life choices.
CRV.
Yeah.
Are the curve wars still happening?
No, because like, not financial advice, but like I interviewed Michael from Curve, like Fireside Chat, and like I did research before, and I'm like, wow, like the stable coin's like actually quite profitable. Like it's actually, the stable coin is like carrying the revenue of like it's more profitable than like the DEX, and like the protocol is like running fine, and like it's actually running not just fine but like very well. And I'm just like, okay, like he just got liquidated, like come on, like all the sellers must be gone now. No. But like it's one of like it's like the underlying, it's like the where like price is determined of stable coins. Like people like look to Curve, they don't look anywhere else but to Curve to like figure out if something's depegged or not. So
yeah. But my brother, we know this. There have been hundreds of thousands of CRB being emitted per day.
It's about to get cut.
It is. August 15th, I think it's like next week or something.
Yeah,
or August 20th.
All
yeah,
right.
but only
I just
15%
like pain.
though.
I just like
it's
pain.
Oh my god, this chart is horrific.
It's criminal.
This is why I do podcasts.
Yeah, it's criminal. It's criminal.
And I guess we gotta
do calls of the month.
Yeah, I was gonna wrap it up and
let's wrap.
else. More of a like, not exactly calls, but maybe things you're excited about that you haven't already mentioned or work for or work with.
I'm excited. I'm excited for ETH Bushwick. Sigs inside.
Oh yeah.
Sigs inside. More info soon.
ETH Bushwick.
ETH Bushwick. ETH Bushwick.
Do you have a month? Have you picked out a month?
I'll figure it out. I got
No.
it.
Where
It's kind of
where the fuck is Bushwick? Is that in like Illinois or something?
no, dude. It's in
No,
Brooklyn. It's in Brooklyn.
It's in
Yeah,
Brooklyn.
I thought it was
Where
gonna
the
be New
fuck-
York.
Oh,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
just sounds like a Midwest like
I mean,
central
it's Dutch.
America
It's
city.
originally a Dutch name, like most New York things.
Mm.
But yeah.
It's a
Okay.
very weird
For-
place. But go ahead, Kit.
For me, what I'm excited for, I don't think you guys have heard this from me yet, but I really think AO being built on Arweave is a pretty
I haven't
interesting
heard it.
thing. I'm not sure you guys have heard that from me, but I think I highly recommend everybody to look at it, but look at it from the tech side and go dive into the docs and make
Love
sure you
the
have
tech.
ChatGPT open as you're reading it so you can ask it really computer science questions.
Is that like an AI type of thing?
It's possible. You can run it. The whole point is that you can run as kind of large arbitrary size as you want because of the Arweave underlying. But the point is that the way they architected the whole blockchain, I'm not going to get into it here, but all I can say is go into the docs, watch the videos, and literally have ChatGPT open and ask it computer science questions. Right? You got to
Okay.
ask it computer science questions for you to appreciate like how this design is. But yeah, that's my last show.
I love how you did this and it just went down.
I'll tell you. Remember, I said AO.
So lesson in there. Lesson in there.
Yeah.
Ollie?
All right.
This is also, you can like sometimes on these shoot the shit episodes we do calls of the week. I mean, you can pick a time frame, maybe a month or
Yeah, but I'm
few
not
months.
gonna. I don't want to shill my bags. I wouldn't
Yeah.
sink that low, Cat.
Yeah.
But I'll.
Whoa, it's not in my bag
I'm
yet.
just kidding.
The
I'm just kidding.
tokens aren't even out
If
until
I had a
February.
shot every time Kid said AO, I'd be really drunk right now.
Nobody reads the dots, man. I'm trying to get people to read the dots.
I got a good one actually. We just had a call with them today. OpNet, the Bitcoin Meta Protocol. They
this is
actually just made an
bearish.
announcement. Like, yeah, this is not
bearish.
this is
This
not
is
an
another
ETH bag.
bear situation for ETH.
They actually made an announcement like during this podcast, or an announcement of an announcement, when they're going to be dropping like the light paper and like testnet and all this fun stuff. Basically, like my understanding of it is that all of like the dog shit we saw in Bitcoin up until now, like runes, ordinals, BRCs, those are like they're like first generation Bitcoin meta protocols. So the first, like one of the not the first, but one of the first instances of where you could do something more than just transfer tokens. And then in this case, it was like inscribe data, mint collections, transfer those tokens, stuff like that. None of the DEX functionality actually works, even though it might seem like it does. Like when you go and use an ordinals DEX, that's like a centralized process. But obviously all that stuff sucks. Like it's like basically OTC trading, but worse because there's block times. OpNet is like essentially a step further than that, to the point where you can like have actual smart contracts and like you can wrap Bitcoin and create actual AMMs and DeFi and all this other fun stuff on Bitcoin. And it's like too long to get into why that is like special and different from all of the other like L2 stuff. But I can tell you that like of all the other Bitcoin infrastructure I've looked into, like very few of it is actually like legit or actually seems legit at this stage. OpNet is one of them, I think. So that's one to keep an eye out
I'll
for,
summarize with some of the cool points that he told us. And I mean, now I think they're probably going to clip this. Now we're going to be like just the shills of OpNet now. But like, I don't even know if there's an adjacent token. I think there's an adjacent token. Don't
It'll be
fucking
very
buy the adjacent
it'll be
token.
very BTC if there's no token.
So I don't think OpNet will have it. I'm pretty sure he said there's no token. So, but I summarized it pretty well. As apparently these dudes are like I don't think they worked for Ohm or the Olympus. I don't think they're directly from that crew, but they're apparently like in those trenches, Barachain trenches, like from that kind of community, just very ETH DeFi dudes that decided to build some like just Uniswap on Bitcoin. It's like what their goal has like set out to be. And the one thing that hooked me as the resident like not reading the white paper person is the fucking branding is hilarious. The website plays music, it looks sick. like the videos where they're like depicting like a demo walkthrough, they're like putting like just schizo music behind. It's really I think they're like it's almost like the One of Us meme. Like they just really seem like the ETH boys just decided to make a some kind of Bitcoin infrastructure.
Now I gotta go.
Who
check
knows
it
if
out.
it's gonna Who knows if it's gonna work? But yeah, that was pretty exciting. I'm excited to see what those guys can cook
Cool.
up. Other than that, let me pick something semi-original. Damn, I forgot anything that was valuable. I mean, I'm excited about some of my meme coin bags.
You're talking
I
about
think-
ore recently, right?
Oh yeah,
I mean, I
dude,
forget
I
on
don't want to.
That bag's down like 50%
you know what I'm
today
excited
alone.
for?
Yeah, I mean, we'll say or like
I'm-
that
I'm-
whole
Yeah, go
yeah
ahead.
that whole like fucking. I mean, shout out to Kel. Like he's the one who fucking messaged me about that. But that it's I couldn't even explain it. Apparently, they're trying to do like Bitcoin mining on
Oh, I
Solana.
read that. Yeah.
It's been down only from here for me.
You know that
but
we know what it reminded me of? Remember Grin? Do you guys remember
No.
Grin?
I do.
This was like the shitcoin that like the BTC maxis like first loved because it was like I don't what was it? It was like anonymous mining. It was like the closest you could get to decentralized, and it was like it passed like the litmus test for BTC maxis where you had like Jameson Lop tweet running Grin in 2018. It was like shitcoin light for BTC maxis, and it was just down only. It was just literally inflation at like through the roof. And look it up. Look, this is some history for everyone. Grin, Mimble Wimble. That was it.
It's comforting
Mimble.
as an ore
Yeah.
holder.
It's how you know I've been around too long because I know what fucking
Yeah, that
Mimble
is
Wimble
very
is.
niche. Damn.
Cool.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Oh, wait.
we're about at time here, over time here. Cito, you got anything else you want to wrap up here?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been
All
a
right.
good one,
Fun.
boys.
Yeah, this was fun. Nice little
Yeah.
yap session. Late
Thanks
at
for
night,
letting me
always-
yap.
Absolutely. Thank you for yapping and obviously, throwing the mic back to us as well. That's always fun stuff to switch it up. Yeah, this was great. Thanks again, guys. This was episode 84,
84.
Exo Liquidity with Flywheel, and we will see you guys.